This conference will now be recorded.
To
This conference will now be recorded.
AWS cloud computing. This course is all about AWS, but before that, we'll understand what this cloud computing is. Why most of the industry is going towards that. Okay.
Okay.
So this, I think my introduction, I think you already know. So I'm skipping this slide. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our agenda for today. We'll understand cloud computing. Why actually we need to learn cloud computing. Okay, and what is cloud computing, and who are all the providers of cloud computing, and what are the basic types of cloud computing which we have to know for sure when we move on to the cloud technology. So this is the agenda.
Okay.
This is the agenda for today.
Okay.
Okay, so why cloud computing? Why why we need to learn this first, and why the industry is moving towards this cloud technology. It has become very prominent in the market. uh, what would be the reason to be be more prominent in the market nowadays? So let's understand the challenges that we have came across so far in the existing traditional technology, so that will open up a lot of questions, and that will answer all of your questions, most of your questions, understanding why the cloud computing has become more prominent nowadays. Okay, so before cloud computing, what are the challenges that every industry used to have? Like if an industry has to set up, if it is a software or IT infrastructure has to be set up for that particular organization, okay, you need to have a lot of servers to buy, a lot of computers you need to buy, a lot of hardware you have to buy, right? So that's a cost to the company, and there would be a lot of upgradations or maintenance has to be done to those machines. It's not just you buy one time and you are done with that, right? You need to upgrade, you need to do a lot of maintenance activity for those hardware machines as well. So this is again a maintenance activity that you have to perform along with the cost that you are put in to buy those servers, right? And you also have to know like what would be the traffic, or what would be the customer base for your organization, so that based on that you will buy your servers which has that kind of a capacity. So you need to know your customer base or the traffic that is coming on to your application or a product. Okay, and to maintain all of these servers or the machines, you need to have a big space where you put or set up all of your servers. So so it is actually, these are the things at a high level. These are the things that are there with the organization as in a traditional environment, like buying the hardware, which is a cost to company, whether okay, you need it, you are utilizing it to the full extent or not, but you have to buy those hardware, and you have to maintain that hardware. You have to do the maintenance of that hardware. Also make sure like whether your product or the application or your customer base is able to access your product fine or not. You have to make sure like where your product or application is down or live, so that it is not having any impact when the customers are accessing it. So these are like pretty much high level challenges in the traditional environment. you know uh, if it is a small organization, it is manageable, but let's say if the business is improving, business is growing, and you need to buy lot many machines, and you have to do a lot of maintenance activities, so that is where like it is becoming complicated, it has become complex. So maintaining all of these, buying hardware whenever you need, it's a cost again. So all these are like challenges before cloud computing. So now what has cloud computing has brought up to resolve all of this? Let's take a situation and try to understand what has cloud computing has done in resolving all of this. I've taken an example. Let's take a practical situation. Mr. These are two individuals. This guy is Mr. X and this is Mr. Y. He is a businessman and this guy is a technical expert. He is a technical expert in such a way that he upgrades his knowledge in the market, which are technical, which are technology is coming in. He always upgrades himself into that particular technology, and he gets involved into that technology. And he is a businessman. He has zero knowledge of any technology. So, and these two are friends, Mr. X and Y. Mr. X goes to Y and asks like, Mr. Y, like I want to set up a company and I would like to know what are the steps that I have to take care to set up my IT infrastructure in my company. So what is the technology that I should be using so that I would spend less but I would get benefited more. Since this Mr. Y is a technical expert and he know the latest technologies and what are the best suits for any kind of an organization, he suggests why don't we use a cloud technology to set up your IT infrastructure. Okay, so then Mr. Y, like he has zero knowledge, as I said, he says like, okay, cloud, but I have zero knowledge. Can you explain me what are the biggest benefits if I go for cloud? What are the problems that I might occur in the traditional technology, traditional environment? And you're saying it is cloud now to go for what would cloud would do extra for me? Why can't I go for the traditional environment just like as it is now people are having? So why you are suggesting the cloud? So this Mr. Y starts explaining the benefits of cloud. Let's see what those benefits are. So this is before cloud we know, right? So now we are trying to understand the benefits of cloud. As I said, here on-premise is your own traditional environment. So normally in our cloud technology, the terminology for the existing environment is called as on-premise, and anything that is set up in cloud is cloud. Okay, so don't confuse if I say going forward on-premise is something that is our existing environment, traditional environment, till now how the industries are following. And cloud is something which we're going to learn now. So let's see what are the benefits if you go for a cloud. So higher pay, less scalability. So as I said, when you wanted to set up an IT infrastructure for any company, you have to buy a lot of machines, lot of computers, a lot of servers. So that's a cost to company. So, but if you go for a cloud computing, if you go for a cloud technology, you will pay only for those servers which you wanted to use. Here, let's say uh, you you want 50 machines in an on-premise, but it's not that you just need 50 machines or the 50 servers. You'll buy just 50. You maybe in going forward in future your traffic or the customer base might increase, isn't it? So then you have to forecast all of that. Maybe instead of 50 you'll buy 60 servers, right? But at that moment you would be using only 50, but 60 are like, it's a backup. Whenever the customer base might increase, you might use the other 10 servers, isn't it? So you have to buy all the 60 servers at the time you are setting up your environment. But if you are in a cloud, if you are using cloud, if you want only 50 at this moment, you just pay only for those 50 servers. And tomorrow in future, if you want additional servers, you will just scale up. You just ask the cloud asking for 10 more servers, and then at that point of time you would be paying for those 10 servers, but you will not pay anything upfront at the time of setting up your infrastructure, when you know, like, I would only need 50 servers. So that is one biggest benefit. The cost is less when compared to on-premise. You are not paying anything upfront when you don't know what is the traffic or the customer base in future. So you will pay only for that which you wanted to. So whatever you are using, you will be paying only for that. And whenever you don't need it, you can just tell the cloud, saying that, okay, now that my traffic is came down, like I just need 50 servers now, I don't need this 10 extra servers. When you say that, they would destroy all the 10 servers, so that you'll only pay only for those 50 servers again. So
Okay.
okay, so you'll not paying anything extra. You will be paying only for those servers which you are utilizing. Okay, so that's one biggest benefit when you go for a cloud. We'll understand it in detail when we go into the further sessions, but these are something, to give you a high level idea of what are the biggest benefits on cloud. So next advantage is, let's say you have bought 50 servers, and it's not that you'd set it up somewhere outside. You have to set that all the servers on your on-premise building, isn't it? Like in your
Mm-hmm.
organization, some space you have to allocate for all those machines, and you have to set them up. That is something we call it as a data center. So you need to set up some space for those machines which you have bought, okay, so that you can access them. But if it is in cloud, you are not buying as hardware. You are just requesting the hardware from the cloud, and they would be giving you access to those servers, how many servers you are asking for. So with that, you are not buying any server physically, right? So you need to have a space to set up all of them, because there is no physical hardware you are buying. It is somewhere, it is there in the cloud, and you are just accessing those servers based on the requirement that you have. Like if you want 50 servers of so and so capacity, the cloud is providing those servers to you, and they give you the access, so you can access it. So there is no physical server you are buying, and with that, you don't need to have a space to set up your hardware. So that's another advantage. So now on the on-premise, the other challenge is, if you have bought the servers and you have set up your space to set up your physical servers, and you need to maintain those servers, isn't it? So to maintain those servers, you need to have a dedicated team to maintain those physical hardware. So in your organization, you need to have a separate team to maintain your hardware. Like they would be doing the upgradations, or any kind of server upping, server up, server shutdown, server upgradings, software installations. All these kind of maintenance activities has to be taken care by somebody. So for that, you need to have a dedicated team, and you need to pay them a salary, okay, on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, so that they would do the maintenance for your physical hardware in a traditional environment, that is on-premise environment. But if it is in cloud, as I said, there is no physical hardware in your location, okay, and you're trying to access the server somewhere which is there in remote location, and it's not your responsibility to maintain those servers, like upgrading or installing any kind of software. It's not your responsibility, it is cloud owner responsibility, but it is not our responsibility. We are just paying for them based on our requirement, and we are using it. And so the maintenance part is taken care by the cloud owner, but not by us. So we don't need to pay any extra salary for the and we don't need to have any extra team to maintain this. It is something which cloud would take care, not by us. That is one other advantage of going to cloud. And the other advantage is data recovery. Let's say you have your uh, data center, like you have your physical hardware, and you have set it up in your space in your building, and you also have a maintenance team that it is doing to monitor those hardware. Now, for the data, let's say your data center is completely crashed. So what about the data recovery? So you will be having lot of customer data or your organization's data, but if your data center is completely gone, let's say your there is some natural calamity has occurred, okay, the building got destruct, building got collapsed, the entire your data center is destroyed. So that is the case. Like how you gonna retrieve or recover your data that is lost, which is there in your servers, which is in your data center. So you need to have a backup data center for that, isn't it? So if that is gone, like you may get data recovered from the other data center, so that is again cost to you. See, setting up one data center in itself is a cost, but to have this data recovery, you need to set up another data center as well. So that is again a cost to the company. But if it is a cloud technology or the cloud environment, you don't need to worry about all of that. So it is cloud owner responsibility to give you the backup of your data. Let's say let's say if your data is not accessible, it is cloud owner responsibility to get your data available to you. So it's not that you are it's not your ever headache to have this data recovery whenever it is lost. So if you are using any cloud technology, the cloud owner is a responsible person to hand over whenever there is a data lost. So they would maintain all of this disaster recovery and all, so that if one data center gone, they would get the data from the other data center and hand it over to you. So it's their responsibility, it's not your responsibility. And the other thing is no automatic updates. Yeah, so this is something we actually talked about. Like if you want to upgrade your operating system on the servers, or if you want to install some softwares on your servers, this maintenance, everything has to be taken care by some team, by you, isn't it? But
Mm-hmm.
in the cloud, it's something like it is their responsibility whether they have a separate team or they have a automation technology which would do automation of these maintenance. So it is not your headache again, it is something cloud would take care of, doing all your maintenance stuff, like upgrading the software center. Let's say I'm using a version of a software now, version 1. As per my requirement, I wanted to upgrade it to version 2. If it is in on-premise, I have to let my maintenance team know, okay, now it is in version 1 for my product. I need to upgrade it to version 2. Please upgrade my servers to version 2. So they would do your upgradation. But here, you just need to let the cloud owner know, okay, I am using version 1, please upgrade to version 2. So they would take that responsibility to upgrade it for you and give it for you. It's not your responsibility again. So lot of responsibilities is taken care by cloud. Only thing is they would be giving you based on your requirement, the accessibility and all, everything is done at the cloud side.
Mm.
Now the other advantage, now let's say you are in on-premise environment. So your data, let's say you are outside of your uh, organization. So you're not in your company network. Let's say that. Okay. So can this data or the servers, can it be accessible? Yes, it can be accessible, but you need to follow some procedure to log into your servers remotely. But if it is in cloud, everything is there in the internet. You just need to have that access available to you, okay? And it can be accessed from anywhere across the world, across the globe. But for this to access remotely, you need to have some proprietary softwares. Then only you will be able to access your data center, other servers. So it cannot be accessed across the globe. But whereas in the cloud, it's all based in the cloud as an internet. You just need to have access to that particular server, and then you need to have an internet connection. You will be able to access your servers. And the other one is like to set up all of this infrastructure on the on-premise network, like buying your machines, setting up a space for those machines, physical hardware, set having a team to maintain that. All that it would take a lot of time to set up in your on-premise data center, isn't it? It might take months, or sometimes it might take years also. But if it is in cloud, you just provide the requirement. I need these many servers, I need these are the softwares I have to use, and these are the versions that I have to have, and 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 this is how I frequently upgrade my operating system. Just give that requirement to the cloud provider, and they would just set up all the IT infrastructure based on your requirement in days of time. So so these are the top advantages when you go for cloud computing. So there are a lot of other advantages, but I have listed the top advantages of this. So saying this to Mr. X, Mr. X by Mr. Y, Mr. Y has talked about all of these advantages to Mr. X now. So Mr. X is convinced but not fully convinced, but he still wanted to know, like, okay, now you told me the big benefits of it, can you give me a practical example or practical scenario so that I would be convinced to go to the cloud computing, because I'm still looking at options in the traditional environment, like that on-premise environment, but still I'm not fully convinced with the cloud computing. Can you give me a real time or a practical example where I would be more interested and I would be more comfortable in moving to the cloud computing technology? So so Mr. Y started explaining and started giving a practical example of the cloud computing. uh, like if you are aware of uh, a Flipkart application, just like this is just like our Amazon e-commerce website, Richard. Okay, so
Okay.
it's a shopping website. um, okay, and this has all the products just like our Amazon has. So normally any customer would go to this Flipkart application and place their order. They would buy whatever they want. It's exactly the same way how the Amazon.in is there. It's a
Mhm.
local to our country Flipkart application, e-commerce website. So just like Amazon conducts great sale in our Thanksgiving Day or sometime in the December, they would be announcing a big sale, isn't it?
Mhm.
So that time, normally lot of customers would try to place lot of orders because there will be a lot of discount sale happening during that period, isn't it? During the Christmas sale and the Thanksgiving time. Similarly,
Right.
Flipkart also has announced a big billion day in the year 2014. So so that time they were in 2014, they were on on-premise technology, on-premise network. So they have their
Mhm.
own data center, they have their own servers maintained, they have their own infrastructure set up for them. And all on 2014, some month like July around timeline, they have announced a big billion day, and they have started the discount sale. But the Flipkart, the normal regular traffic and based on the customer base that they have, it is like 100 requests per second. Let's suppose that it is 100 requests per second. Let's suppose that they have four servers, okay, and the regular traffic is like 100 requests per second, which means that 25, like we have four servers, like each server would take 25 requests per second. That's where like
Mhm.
100 requests per second, isn't it? So this is their based on their regular traffic, they like daily traffic. Okay, and someday they have announced a big billion day, which they are running off lot of discounts on their website. So it's not a regular traffic that time. So there could be an increase in the traffic because there are a lot of customers would accessing that to accessing those application to avail that discount, isn't it? Let's suppose that it has increased to 200 requests per second. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the server capacity, what they have put in on a regular basis is like it would take only 25 requests per second, right? So all over it would suffice only 100 requests per second. But now in the big billion day, it has increased to 100, 200. Whether these servers will take that load? No, it cannot take that load because it is not, it doesn't have the capacity to take 50 requests per second, isn't it? It
Right.
it is the
Right.
capacity of only 25 requests per second. So what happened? The servers got crashed because it cannot take that load. So during that big billion day, all the customers who was trying to access that application, that e-commerce website, it is completely down
Mm-hmm.
because the servers got crashed, because those servers which are there, they cannot take that huge load in the big billion day, and those got crashed and the application was completely down. So that's actually a big failure. So because they could not able to serve those customers on the discount sale. So this is what happened in 2014. And this discount sale in normal they would run it for a week or for a couple of days, isn't it? So for that, if they have to go with the discount sale, what they have to do? Because if they have to go with the lot of customers that are coming in during the discount sale, they have to buy new servers, isn't it? To
Mm-hmm.
to to suffice those customers, the biggest traffic that is coming in during this big billion day, you need to buy extra servers so that your servers will never be crashed. So but so with that, if you buy it, then you can suffice the customers that is there in the discount sale. but
Mm-hmm.
but it's a cost to the company. You need to buy the servers, and
Yeah,
that
the
is
cost is
something like you cannot expect the traffic, how much traffic it would be again, isn't it? And setting up these
mm-hmm.
servers, buying these servers and setting up these servers would take some time. It's not just in a nick of a moment it can be done. But this discount sale is just for a days. And do you really think, or is it really make sense, just for 2 day or 3 day discount sale, do I need to buy a new server? And that's the biggest cost to me,
Right.
isn't it? So that's a cost
Mm-hmm.
to the company. So it's not a good idea to buy a new server, okay, just because I'm having a great sale in 2 days. And what is after 2 days? If you buy these two servers, okay, that is fine. In this big billion day, this 1 week sale or a 3 day sale, you have a big sales, and you have good profit, okay, and all your customers are happy because you have run the discount sale. But what after 3 days, what after the discount sale is done? You have the servers empty, your regular traffic is again 100 requests per second. But what about the new servers that you have bought in the big billion day? Those are not utilized, isn't it? So those are
Mm-hmm.
those are right now is not utilized, and you have spent a lot of amount in buying these servers. So you cannot give it back again because you have bought the physical server. So again you have
Mm-hmm.
to wait till the next discount sale, and so then only you can make utilize of this. So that's, you're spending some, you're spending an amount on some infrastructure which is not fully utilized. So that's a cost to the company. So that is where the cloud computing comes into picture. So what this cloud computing would do, if you are not on a traditional environment, if you are using a cloud technology, okay, and initially you are having only 4 servers, isn't it, on the daily traffic. Let's say on the big billion day you might expect a 200 requests per second, and there is a chance of increasing your request or the traffic or the customer base during that 3 day or a 1 week time, you don't need to buy any server physically. What you have
Mm.
to ask the cloud provider is like, I want to have an extra server so that on the discount sale there would be a lot of traffic that I am expecting. There is a chance of increase in the traffic, so I need some extra servers. Just give them the list of requirement that you have, how many servers and what is the capacity that you want, so that they would provide you. Like if it is one server that you want, they would provide you one server. If you want two more, if you want three more, it is just, you just ask them, they would give you those servers for
Mm.
those
Okay.
discount sale, and they would charge you only for those period of time which you are using these servers. Let's say once after the discount sale, your sale is complete and you don't need these extra servers which you have borrowed, isn't it? So then you say like, okay, now I just need only 4 servers, I don't need 6 servers. What they will do, they would remove those 2 servers and they would charge only for those servers for you, whichever you are utilizing, that is 4 servers. So you only charged for the extra servers only when you are needed. When you don't need it, they would only charge only for the service that you are utilizing it. So this is something, a biggest customization that you can do when you go for a cloud technology. And Flipkart has moved to the cloud technology on after 2014, because that was a big disaster for them. In 2014 they could not able to extend their servers because they are on on-premise technology, on-premise network, so they could not able to increase their servers dynamically. So that's where like it was a big disaster that time, and after that they have realized that cloud technology is something that would actually suit them, so they can upgrade and they can upscale and downscale the servers whenever they need it, and they would pay accordingly. So that's where they have moved to the cloud technology. So that's the practical example that Mr. Y has given to Mr. X. So
Mm.
now with all this, right? So Mr. X is completely convinced of going to cloud computing. So this is where we just talked about. Put your data on the cloud servers, no more buying expensive servers. You don't need to buy any extra server because everything is virtual for you now. And you can also scale up and scale down whenever you need. You're not buying a physical software that time and you will not use it for whenever it is not in use, right? So in the cloud, you pay accordingly based on the usage that you use. Okay, and you're not maintaining all of those servers. You don't have any extra headache in maintaining, upgrading those servers. So these are the biggest benefits when you go on for a cloud technology. So now you know the why people are moving to cloud. So when we know now the biggest advantages of going to cloud, now when we know why people are moving to cloud, now let's understand what is cloud. That we don't know. We know now, till now, why people are moving to cloud. What are the advantages that I would get if I go to cloud? But we don't know what is cloud is. Let's understand what this cloud computing is. Moving on to the cloud computing. Uh, if you remember, like you have your data. Let's say you have, Richard, like you have your personal data. Let's photos or videos. You have your own data. You have it on your machine, on your laptop, on your desktop. Let's say that. Okay. So everything is there in your machine. Now let's say you have moved to some other place. Okay, you are traveling to, when you're traveling, if you want to access your data, you don't have your laptop with you. Okay, and if you want to access your data, what you will normally do, you would carry your data in a hard disk, external hard drive, or in a pen drive, so that you can access it whenever, wherever you go, isn't it? That's in a traditional environment. Okay, so your data is not accessible remotely. It is there in your laptop. If you want to carry your data, you have to carry in a pen drive or an external hard drive, and you have to carry that physical device with you, so that wherever you go, you just connect that physical device to any of the machine and you can have access your data, isn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
with this regular traditional environment, okay, you have to carry a physical device with you all the time to have access to your data, correct? So that is a pain for us to carry the device every time, all the time with us. But in the cloud, it is not, it is not having any kind of a physical device to carry with you. You just store it in some remote location. Let's say I can give an example. It's Google Drive or Dropbox. Just store your data all in Google Drive or Dropbox. Okay. Only thing is you just need to create an account in that Google Drive or Dropbox. Okay, and have an internet connection. Wherever you go, you just access your account in the Google Drive or Dropbox, and all the data that you have uploaded to that space, you can access it. You don't need to carry any physical device, isn't it? With that, so that's what the cloud is. So it is accessible across the globe irrespective of carrying your physical device. So you can access your data, okay, and you can store, it's like you can store your data, access your data, and if you want to do any kind of a processing, like you wanted to upload extra or you wanted to change your data, like making changes to your videos or the files, so all that you can do it and store it in your cloud environment, which is a kind of a remote location where you can access anywhere across the globe. So at a high level, this is what cloud is. You just need to have an internet connection, okay, and you can able to access all your data wherever you are. But in a traditional environment, it's not like that. You need to have a physical device carried with you to access it wherever you want, wherever you want. So this is what I
Right.
was talking about. So you would be carrying your storage devices, isn't it, with you whenever you wanted to have, uh, whenever you wanted to access your data. But here in this cloud, you have all your data in the cloud. You only need to have your internet connection to access all your data. So that's what, at a high level, the cloud computing is. So now we talked about why cloud computing, why people are moving to cloud computing. We understood that, and we also understood what is cloud computing. That is something like you can access it. You can access or process your data wherever you are there. There is no need to. There is no dependency to carry any physical device with you. Now we understood why cloud computing and what cloud computing is. Now we also have to know who are all providing these cloud computing services, correct? So that we can choose those servers, those providers, whichever we wanted to go. So I have put in few top cloud providers till now in the market. So in which Amazon is the top cloud provider so far, and the next biggest top uh, competitor for this cloud computing is Microsoft Azure, and all the other ones are now coming up fast. But if I take cloud computing or the cloud providers, in the top cloud providers in the market, Amazon is the top, and the next comes into picture is Microsoft. So it's not just these two, like there are a lot of other providers as well, like we can pick based on our requirement. So just to give a snapshot of who are all the top providers, I have given it. The top providers are Amazon and Azure so far. So now that we know what cloud computing is, before getting deep into the cloud computing, understanding the cloud computing or the cloud technology, we have to know the types of cloud computing. Okay, so there are two types of cloud computing. One is the deployment model and the service model. There are two models. Let's understand these two models, what these models are in the cloud computing. Let's talk about the deployment model first. Okay, so let me give you an example uh, in explaining this deployment model so that it will be easy for me to make you understand, and also it will be easy for you to better understand when I give a practical example. So in deployment model, we have three types of cloud. One is a public cloud, one is a private cloud, one is a hybrid cloud. Let's take a real-time situation and try to understand each what these clouds are, what these different types of clouds are. Let me go back to this thing. Okay. So if you let's take an example that you are traveling from one place to another place. If it is having a roadway, normally if you wanted to go by, normally we prefer the public transport. So if you can go by a train or bus or by a flight, correct? So let's say if
Mm-hmm.
you are traveling from one place to another, and I have chosen to go by bus. Okay. So what normally I do if I want when I'm traveling, I would buy a ticket so that I can board into the bus, and I would reserve my seat so that I would reserve my seat, isn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
I would buy a ticket, bus ticket, and I would reserve my seat, and I get onto the bus, and I'll sit in my seat, and bus would take me to my destination, isn't it? Let's say
Mm-hmm.
to buy this ticket, I have paid like $100. So the bus ticket which I have bought to my destination to go is $100. So I have spent $100 and I reserved a seat and I got into the bus. So so now when I am in bus, I can avail all the resources in the bus during my journey. Like I can watch a movie, or else if the bus is a AC bus, I can have that AC enjoyed. Like I can avail all the resources that are there in the bus during my journey, isn't it? And this bus is not dedicated to me. Like just like me, there are a lot of other passengers who would be buying their ticket and they would be boarding the bus, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So our requirement here is to travel from one place to another. That mode that I have chosen is the bus. So to go by bus, what and all I have done, I have bought a bus ticket which is of $100. Let's say I have reserved the ticket, and I got into the bus, and I'm enjoying all the resources that are there in my journey. So, and this is not something a bus which is for me, it is for everybody. I just bought a ticket, but the seat is for me. The reserved seat is for me. So similarly, the public cloud is just like the same way. So here, what is the advantages of going by bus? I am paying just to my seat. I'm just paying $100, which is very less for me to travel from one place to another. and and this is something can be accessible by any passenger, isn't it? So any customer can buy a ticket and come in the bus just like me. These are the main advantages. I'm paying less amount to go to my destination. Okay. And this is something can be accessible by everybody, like just like me, I have access this bus to book a ticket. Okay, anybody can access the bus to book a ticket, so it is available to everybody. And what are the disadvantages of this travel? So, since this is a public transport, I don't say
Mm-hmm.
that there is no security, but there is less security. Okay, let's understand what that is. And there is no customization of this. Is like, let's say you have you have reserved the seat, and can you decide who want to sit just beside you? No, isn't it?
No.
Right?
Right.
So because that is publicly accessible, and anybody can book a ticket wherever they want, which is available seat wherever they want. So you cannot have any control in they making a decision. Okay, I want somebody of my friend or somebody else has to be seated beside me. So that control is not with you. Your control is only with your seat which you bought. So
Right.
this is some are disadvantages when you go in a public transport, isn't it? So let's relate this to our public cloud now. So this is public cloud, which is one of the model in our cloud. models.
Mm.
So let's say these are different users. Okay, so these are different users, and there are some services in cloud. Now, for now, think that this is cloud which is having some services, just like this is a message service, this is storage service is something which we just talked about, Dropbox, Google Drive, isn't it? And the message service is
Mhm.
your Gmail account. Okay, so for your Dropbox or the Google Drive or the Gmail, are you paying anything? No, those are free services, isn't it? You're not paying anything. And it's not just there for you. It can be accessible to everybody across the globe. Only thing is you just need to create an account of your own and use that service, isn't it? So this is something just like a bus. You are buying your ticket and you are creating your own ticket, your own account, which there are a lot of services available in cloud, and you're just paying only for those service which is needed for you. You're
Uh-huh.
not paying for all the services, and most of the services are free, and whichever is service that you want and which is available across the globe for all the users, and you pay very limited pay or a limited cost for that particular service. Let's say if I wanted to use a storage service, okay, and I would either I can go for a free storage service or I can pay for a storage service which is available to everybody. I'll pay very less amount, just like I paid only for my seat in the bus. So I'm paying less, okay, and I am availing that service, and this is available to everybody, just like our bus example. Any questions on this?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so this is what the public cloud, like, it is available. These services which are there in the internet are available to everybody in the globe. Only thing is you just need to create an account, whether if it is a free service or a paid service, you just pay only for that particular service. If it is free, you will use that for free. But if it is paid, you will just pay only for that particular service, okay, because that is available across the globe. Everybody can use it. If you want to have a paid service, you will pay only for that and use it. So that's what the public cloud is. You are paying less and you are accessing that particular service. You are getting the benefits of that particular service. So that's what the public cloud is. So these are the advantages which we just talked about. You're paying less or it is free for you and everybody can access it. And since this is there across the it is there globe across available, there could be a chances of less security, but it's not that there is no security at all. There is some security, but it's comparatively it is less security because this is available to entire public. And similarly, as I said, there is no customization. Let's say uh, if you wanted to do any kind of a customization, if you kind of like if you want to add any feature to this service, okay, let's say the Dropbox you are using, you thought like it would be more better if there is a extra feature added to that Dropbox. Can you add that? No, because that is a public service which is given to everybody. Let's say if that particular feature is being added, okay, it might get impacted by the other users. So that is where there is no customization done. Whatever the service that is being provided by the cloud provider, we have to use that particular service, but we cannot do any customizations to that service because that is something which might get impacted by the other users who are trying to access it. So now you understood what the advantages of going to a public cloud and what are the disadvantages that you have when you have a public cloud. Now moving on to this other example of private cloud. Now the same example, let's take it. You wanted to travel from one place to another, but instead of going by bus, you will go by your own car. Let's say that. Okay. So for that, what you gonna do? You have to buy a car first, and then you you go in that car to your destination, isn't it? So to buy a car, you are spending amount upfront. So what you gonna do? You will buy a car which is upfront. You are spending some amount, okay, and you're going buy a car, your own car. But the advantages is like you have your own privacy. You can decide who you wanted to take with you, or if you wanted to go alone, you can also go because that is your car. You can take your own decision. So you have your privacy, you have the security, and you have the flexibility like customization. Like if you want to play a movie of you want, whichever movie you wanted to, you can play because all the control is with you. So these are all the advantages if you go with the private cloud or going by your own car.
mm,
Okay, and what are the disadvantages? Let's see that. Like this car is private to you. Nobody can get into your car without your permission, isn't it? But in the public cloud, everybody can access all the services. Okay, and you also, just like the others, you can also access those services. But in the private cloud, it is something you are restricting some users. You are not allowing your users to get in unless they have your permission to get in. Correct. So that is something not accessible to all the people, all the users. So that is one disadvantage. What is the other disadvantage is like you are buying a car here, like you are spending too much of an amount to just to travel from one place to another. Let's say right after your destination you reached, you don't need to have a car, isn't it? You don't need to have your own car. Our requirement here is to go from one place to another place. So for that, you have bought a car, but you have all these advantages. But to just to have these advantages, you are spending a lot of amount to travel from one place to another. That is one disadvantage. Like you are spending a lot of amount in just to travel from one place to another. So that is one disadvantages that come in private cloud. Now let's understand or let's relate it to the private cloud now. Like if you see, this is the private cloud environment. This user, just like the normal user, is trying to access a service which is private, which is not accessible to anybody. Okay, so this is an organization and they want to go for a service which is dedicated to them, not to any anybody else. See, just like the other services, the public cloud services, they are there in the cloud. But this organization doesn't want to use those free services. Just like the Dropbox or the Gmail account, this company can use those services, but they wanted to be secured. They don't want to go with the public services because this is an organization. They have their kind of a security measures they have to take because their data they cannot expose in the public environment. So they want something which is secured. So that case they would go for a private cloud which is only dedicated. These services are dedicated to only to them. If somebody else try to access those, they won't be able to access it because these are private services in cloud.
okay.
Got it?
Yep.
So this is where, like, if you wanted to make any customization, let's say your Gmail account, uh, this organization's proprietary Gmail service, which is a Gmail account, if they wanted to add some feature to this organization would suggest or recommend this cloud provider who is providing this service. Ask him, okay, now I need a I need a customization to this service. Okay, I wanted to have this feature, so and so feature. So this cloud provider responsibility is to add that feature for you because you are paying more, because this same service is available in public cloud, but you are not using that. You are going for a private cloud which is dedicated for you. So it is cloud provider's responsibility to make you happy all the time. So whenever you need any customization, the cloud provider has to implement that or add that features for you so that you can use it, the organization can use it. So you have that customization can be done using this private cloud. The only thing is you are paying something extra for that. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, you have your own private environment. So this is what private cloud is. Nobody else from outside can access your environment. That is private cloud. Moving on to this moving on to this other example, which is the hybrid model. I would take an example of a taxi. So if you want to enjoy the benefits of public cloud and private cloud, okay, then you can go for a hybrid cloud. Now let's see what it is. In public cloud or the public transport bus example, what you are the best advantages are you are paying less, isn't it? You are paying less. The cost is less. But in the private cloud, you are paying more, correct? And in the public cloud, the security is less, whereas in private cloud, the security is more. I wanted to have such an environment where I would be having both the benefits, both the advantages. Then you would go for an example called taxi here. Like your requirement is the same old requirement, traveling from one place to another. But instead of going in a public transport, okay, I wanted to go in a very secured or a privacy environment where instead of buying a car, like I have to spend like $1 lakh to buy a car, I would just pay $1,000 to book a cab. I would be enjoying the same benefits whatever I would be having in my own car, isn't it? So I would be having my own privacy. I'd be having my own security. I can take a decision who want to sit beside me or who I wanted to take with me. Just because this taxi is being rented for my entire journey. Once after my journey is done, this taxi is not with me. So I would pay only for that particular travel time, the journey time. I'm not buying a new car for this just for the sake I need to travel from one place to another. So I am paying less, okay, and then I also have my privacy. So I'm having both. So this is what the hybrid environment is. Now relating it to the hybrid environment now. So if you see, this is the organization where they are having this private cloud environment. And let's say as an organization, I want to have my mail service, which is I wanted to have it private. So I would go for a private cloud. I will pay for this. But there is some other service which I don't want it to be private. I would go for a public service, just like any other user is accessing that service. So it is a combination of my private cloud and a public cloud, which is a hybrid cloud. So when you have such requirement, okay, when you have such requirement like I want to have a service which is more secure and I can pay for that extra, then you go for a private cloud. Okay, and if you have a service, if you want a service which I can keep compromised on security to a little bit extent, okay, and I would wanted to pay less for that, then you'll go for a service which is there in a public cloud. So this way you will be having a combination of public cloud and a private cloud. So that is what is called hybrid cloud environment. Now, are we clear on this? These models, private, public, and hybrid?
Yeah.
Any questions on this, Richard?
Um. So on the hybrid cloud, for example, um. So like, why would anybody want to have a hybrid cloud? Like, is it so that they can be able to let people access? So like, let's say in a hybrid infrastructure, for example, um, I'm trying to think of the best way to ask the best example. Let's say I have an application sitting in the cloud, right?
Okay.
Um, like, why will I, like, what benefit would I have to make it hybrid if, so would I make it hybrid to let the public access that application at any point in time that they want? Will that be the reason why I'll make it a hybrid? Why I'll host the application on a hybrid cloud instead of a private cloud? But even if it was, but if let's say it's on a private cloud, is it possible? Like, why make it hybrid when you can just provision access to the application? Why make it hybrid? I guess that's why I'm a little confused. Like, why would a company want to make their environment a hybrid environment versus making it private?
Okay, so let me give an example for that. Let's say there is a company, there is an organization which is there
Mhm.
like very long time. Let's say it is there from no 2000. Let's suppose that the company has started in 2000. Okay, and they
Okay.
have their own physical infrastructure. They have their own servers. They have their own data center. Let's suppose that they did not go for cloud that time. Okay,
Okay.
no, so they are making good business. They are working fine. All the servers have been working fine. They are making good business. Let's suppose that. And in later point of time, maybe in 2010 or something, the cloud has got more prominent, and they have thought of like they wanted to go. This organization wanted to go for a cloud environment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so now since that they already have their own data center. Okay,
Mhm.
which they have put a lot of money in that. Okay, and they wanted to go for cloud now. Is there something they would completely shut down their data center and they would completely go for a cloud? I don't
No.
think so. That would be a good idea because they have
Right.
their own data center, which they can use it for some purpose, isn't it? Instead of shutting it
Right.
down, which is working fine for them, they can use it for some purpose, isn't it? So that is
Right.
where this hybrid comes into picture. Let's say I wanted to use. There are some very important or a critical services which I wanted to put it in my cloud so that whenever I have a requirement scaling up of the servers and scaling down of the servers, just like we have seen the example, the cloud would
Mhm.
be the best environment for me. So I would
Mhm.
pick few of those applications or products to go for cloud. And there are few services which I do not need any kind of a regular maintenance activity. For those services, I would still use my data center, which is already there with me. So this is a combination of both. Now I'm
Oh.
using my data center, which is there already, and I'm also going few of the services to use in cloud. So I'm using both environments. So this is somewhere like you would come across the hybrid cloud.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
so 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 it's a combination of using both the data center and the cloud environment.
exactly.
Got it.
So
Okay.
such kind of a service this cloud provider will also give us, which is comes in hybrid cloud.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Moving on to the next model, which is our service model. So
Mhm.
in service model, we have three types. Okay, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Okay, infrastructure IaaS is called infrastructure as a service. PaaS is called platform as a service. SaaS is called software as a service. This is the full form of these models. Let's understand what these models are. What is the difference between these models? I'll take an example with a real-time example. Okay, let's suppose that we are preparing a cake at home. Okay, so to prepare a cake, what and all ingredients or what and all the utensils that we need? We need a table to have our cake, right? We need to have oven to bake our cake, isn't it? And
Mhm.
eggs. We have to have egg, okay, and batter, isn't it?
Mhm.
And what else we can have? And I think to cook it, Okay, oven is already there. So what else we can have? A glass of water maybe we need,
Mhm. Mhm.
isn't it? So at a high level, I just put put on these things to prepare a cake. So if it is on premise, I would relate it to our environment. So if it is something which is an on premise, you have to create everything. You have to buy your server, you have to install everything on your server, you have to maintain all that time, you have to do your upgradation, everything you have to do it on premise, isn't it?
Mhm.
So if I relate that on-premise environment to this cake, you have to have your table to put to have your cake put on and have your cake, enjoy your cake, isn't it? And
Mhm.
water is something you have to buy on your own. And
Mhm.
oven, you have to buy the oven. Eggs, you have to manufacture your oven. It's not that you're buying it. You have to manufacture your own because you're creating your own infrastructure in the on-premise, isn't it? And to eggs, for the eggs, you have to have your own poultry so that you would get the eggs from that poultry farm. Similarly, batter, you have to create your own batter. Uh, you have to create your own batter or prepare your batter. So in this on-premise, everything is you are doing it on your own. You have to manufacture the table, you have to get the water from somewhere, you have to manufacture your oven, okay, and you have to get your eggs from your own poultry farm and prepare your batter by your own. Everything is prepared by your own, and then you prepare the cake, correct?
Mhm.
Let's suppose there is uh, an example of IAS, which is home. Let's say you are preparing this cake at home, okay, and this is also you are preparing at home, but the thing is, in at home, like you are you are manufacturing all of these and you are preparing everything on your own. And there is uh, uh, another side of the same preparation of cake. Let's put the same ingredients. We need the same ingredients to prepare a cake, isn't it? Water, oven, eggs, and a batter. But if you see, I have highlighted this.
Mhm.
What I can do is I can buy eggs from a supermarket or a store, isn't it? I can buy batter from store. Only thing is I'll bring what all the ingredients that are needed to prepare my cake, and I'll bring my home all those ingredients, okay, and I use these utensils like oven. I'll buy all these ingredients outside in the store. I'll get it home and I'll prepare uh, my cake. So in this, what I'm owning is I'm owning my table, water, and oven. These things I'm getting it from outside store, isn't it? So this is something, I'm not owning everything. I'm just owning only the ones which I highlighted, which is called IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service. So the basic infrastructure is being provided by the cloud provider. Like if I wanted to set up my IT infrastructure, all the servers and all is been provided by the cloud provider. I'm not dealing with buying any physical hardware, isn't it?
Mhm.
So that's what IaaS is. The infrastructure, basic infrastructure is being provided. Here you are buying your ingredients outside. You are just owning your whatever that you have the equipment or the appliances, that is only you are using to prepare your cake. Let's take the
Right.
same example. Let's take the another example, the same uh, model. I'll just copy paste this. Okay, so here what I'll do, I'm not preparing anything at home. I wanted to buy a cake from outside, isn't it? So
Mhm.
in this scenario, what I'll do, I just need to have table and water, isn't it? What I'll do,
Mhm.
I'll go to some uh, bakery and I'll buy a cake and I'll get it home and I'll put it on my table and I'll have it. So I'm not doing anything here. If you see, whatever I highlighted, that is the only thing that I need to have. All that I am getting it from market. All that I am getting it from outside. I'll bring my cake, which is there in the bakery. I buy that cake and bring it home, put it on my table and have it. So this is something that I only needed in the past. So they are providing platform as a service. If I relate it to our cloud environment, we'll see that. So if you see here, everything I'm owning, here only little I'm owning. Here there is few things I'm owning. Okay, and there is another model called SaaS, which is a restaurant or a bakery. So here what I'll do, I'll go to a restaurant and I'll order a cake and I'll have it. I'm not owning even table. The table is again a restaurant table, isn't it? So nothing
Mhm.
I'm owning here. Everything is cloud. Everything is restaurants or the bakeries product. I'm just paying for that, isn't it?
Mhm.
So this is what the difference is. So on-premise, everything you have to own it. You have to maintain it. But if you go for an IaaS, there are some things which you can buy it, okay, and very few of them you will using it to
Mhm.
prepare the same cake. You in every stage you are preparing the same cake, okay, but the thing is, however you are using the resources based on the model that you are using the resources. So if I want to give an example of IaaS, okay, who would give me an example of IaaS is AWS, Microsoft Azure, AWS cloud, all the cloud providers that we have seen so far, though they will be providing our IT infrastructure as a service. So if I take an example of PaaS, what would be the example, real-time example of PaaS? It would be any Google apps. Let me. So this is an example of the cloud. So here in on-premise, I'm relating my cake example with this now. This is actually the cloud model example. Okay, and on-premise, I need to have an applications, data center, runtime, operating system, everything I have to manage, isn't it?
Mhm.
This is an on-premise. Like the same thing, if I am going for an IaaS, infrastructure as a service, okay, I would go to an AWS cloud provider or an Amazon, sorry, Microsoft Azure or a Google Cloud, whoever it is. I would go to them. I would ask only the servers. These are the servers that I can get it from them, isn't it?
Mm.
Virtualization servers I'll buy from them. I will pay for this, but application is mine, data is mine, okay, any operating system is mine. I will ask them what are the operating system that I wanted to have on the servers. I would tell them. So anything that you see in red over here is my owned. Anything that you see in blue is the cloud provider owned.
Okay.
Okay, so if you wanted to go with this model, let's say I have a requirement, I only need a servers which would maintained by others, then I would prefer IaaS model. Let's say the example is Amazon Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud are the examples for this model. You would go to them to get this kind of a model. Like if I wanted to go to PaaS, platform as a service, in this, whatever that you see in blue is completely owned by the cloud provider. The only thing that you see in red is by owned by you. So here, what I would say, only the application and the data is owned by me. That is my responsibility. But everything, the infrastructure, the server, operating system, the runtime environment, everything is owned by or the maintained by the cloud provider. If I take an example, like you have Google apps, Google applications. So what you can do, you can customize, like in your Android mobile, you can download any of the Google application and you can develop, enhance that application, isn't it?
So you mean like for example, like the Google suite of apps, like Google Docs, like Google Sheets and things like that? Do you mean like Google Sheets,
Yes.
um,
Um,
Google Word and things like that? Hello, can you hear me?
yeah, yeah. So it is actually, it is something you own your application and you own your data. Then
Okay, so what would be like a good example
a
for
good
a piece
example is
of service?
if you have an like in your Android mobile, okay,
Mhm.
uh, you can install any of the Google applications, correct?
Mhm.
From
Mhm.
your Play Store. Okay,
Mhm.
so that application which you have installed, there will be also an option called the developer option where you can
Mhm.
enhance that application and give it uh, and publish it so that anybody can access it. So here, what you are doing, you are enhancing that application and you are putting your own code and data. And that is your application, whichever you have enhanced, isn't it? That feature is yours. But the environment, that storage, everything is been provided by the Google. It's not yours, isn't it?
Mm.
So that is where like PaaS comes in. Like when you own your own data or your own application feature, then you go for a PaaS, and rest all everything is taken care by the cloud environment, cloud providers. So that is what the example. And moving on to the SaaS, is a software as a service. Nothing is owned by you. Even application and data, everything is owned by the cloud provider. The best example is Microsoft Office 365. So that is a installed software on your machine, isn't it? Everything
Mhm.
upgradation, licensing, everything is been done by the Microsoft. You are just
Oh,
using that software. You are putting your content on that particular software, but you are not owning anything there, isn't it? That if
right.
you wanted to go for such kind of environment, you would go for SaaS. So these are the different models. So based on your requirement, you would go you would go and choose whichever environment or the model you want to. It's not that you have to go only for the IAS, you have to go only for the pass. It is based on your requirement, you choose whichever you want, and you will pay accordingly for that.
Okay.
So so that's what the cloud models are. So we have gone through this deployment model and we have gone to the service model. We understood what these models are in detail. So any questions so far? With this, like I'm done with the demo for AWS. Like if you have any
Okay.
questions, we can have it. Uh, we still have a few more minutes.
Um, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Yeah, everything is
Okay.
straightforward.
Okay, great. Sounds good. So maybe from the next session, today we just talked about what cloud computing is. Since we are learning
Mhm.
AWS cloud, so next session would be on the AWS. Why only AWS? Why not Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud, or why not? Why only Amazon Cloud? We'll understand that. We'll know about that in detail in our next session.
Okay. And so will it be at the same time?
I think uh, the Go Online training will let you know through email or by a call on the next session when it is going to be and what is the timing of it.
Oh, okay. And so like this course, like how long is it? Is it like a month, 2 months? Like how long is the course?
It is a month course, 30 hours,
Oh,
30 hours.
okay. Does this course prepare me to take the AWS certification exam?
Absolutely, you can.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So once I finish with this course, I can be able to apply for the AWS exam and start applying for jobs.
Yes, yes. So, like there would be some material also provided. Like I'll give you the links at the time of course end, so that you can also go through that. So because you will be having a complete picture of what the services are and all, but to have this certification, there will be questions that like it will be tricky questions. You need to understand those questions because they are little tricky. Though you know the concept, you need to understand the trickiness in the questions. That's where you're gonna answer it correct, isn't it? So
Okay.
so that's
Okay.
where we're gonna provide that support as well to help you with the certification.
Oh, okay. So like, do I need to know DevOps to apply for AWS job?
Uh, to some extent, but I would not say the fully you have to know AWS, but to some extent you should be knowing AWS because we gonna create the environment in DevOps using AWS. So,
Uh,
so this would really help you when we move to DevOps. I don't need to spend too much of a time in explaining you the AWS things there. By the time
uh,
you know everything of AWS.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
All
like,
right.
do you think I should start applying for work after I finish AWS, or I should wait until I finish DevOps before I start looking for a job?
Uh, like uh, like for the AWS you're talking, like you can whenever we done with a session, like you can go and practice the AWS things. You don't need to set up anything for this. You don't need to install anything. You only need to have an AWS Amazon AWS cloud account, and
Okay.
that will not cost you anything. It's a free account you can create for, and that is free for 1 year. So
Yeah, okay.
I will be helping you with all that account creation and all. No, don't worry about that, and you can practice it as and when we are going on your course of AWS. You don't need to wait
Okay.
until the course is complete and then you practice it. You can practice it uh, on fly.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Richard. Uh, we'll see you on the next session then.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
All right.